What the worst I don't fit in here experience you've ever had? I'm in my late 20s and going to the same clothing stores I've been going to for over a decade. Seeing 12-plus-year-old girls. Feeling lost, not knowing where to shop. I once interviewed for a job and was taken around the office to meet everyone and see how things worked, but it was one of those types of places where they do morning cheers. Everyone is ultra peppy and cutthroat. It was a sales job with competitive territories and the energy was just too much. As an introverted, laid-back and uncompetitive worker, I 100% did not belong in that environment. Went on the company ski trip, which sounds posher than it actually is, and we have to pay for it out of our wages. Had to sit on a dinner table with the heads of the company and some other high-up people from different companies, and the stuff they were talking about in terms of leisure activities were well out of my league. When you try to join the conversation and you get a patronizing smile from one of them who doesn't engage you, conversation has a strange effect on you. Finished my dinner and ducked off to the bar. A friend invited me to a party at his friend's place. Everyone was dressed in animal masks, not as in furries. This was like black tie formal, but with people wearing realistic giraffe masks. My friend seemed confused that I was dressed normally. I do not speak to him anymore. I still don't know what the deal with that place was. I just dropped everything to pursue a career in art. It's been my dream to open up a shop and to just make things and paint. I've been drawing all of my life, and I'm honestly not bad. A few weeks ago, I joined a local artists collective. The first meeting we were showing our art, and my heart dropped. Everyone had these gallery level social justice pieces and there I was with my greeting card and wedding art. I've always struggled with confidence and imposter syndrome, but that hit me hard just how out of my league this group was. I'm staying in it because I think it will challenge me to expand and grow, but damn do I feel incompetent every time I see them. I'm a college professor. Got my first job out of grad school. Quit at the end of the second year. Found out while quitting that they were about to fire me. It was one of the 10 largest universities in the USA. Today I teach at a tiny liberal arts college. Been there over a decade, and they vote me Professor of the Year an average of once every 3 years. Here I fit. There I didn't. There was big, research driven, prestige hungry. Here, they want me to take good care of the students. That I can do. I love my job. I came to Germany in 2017 with my Master of Science in Environmental Sciences from Hungary. A job to find was hard, so I had a plan B. I took a job by Deutsche Bahn, German Railways. I don't really know how to say it in English, but basically I control train stations and set routes for trains. Called Fahrdienstleiter in Germany, look it up if you want to. So I took the schooling. I had my first station, and as an apprentice or something like that I had to go to the tracks and inform people about where their train comes. I felt pretty shitty. It's normally not part of the job. All the passengers were well-suited men and women. Lots of offices around here, and I was in a dirty safety west. I just felt that I belonged to them, not here. In the end I found myself here. My next job will be at the central station in Nuremberg, which is a pretty big deal, like a flight control tower with trains. In southwestern Australia, I was there working for a bit and went out with some locals. We were walking home from the bar when one of them said he wanted to go for a bit of a longer walk, so we detoured around another block. Suddenly we were walking through the bush, and then we pop out the other side near this sketchy house. A really sketchy dude comes out, looks at me, and asks one of the guys who I am. They say I'm Canadian, and he asks me a few questions, presumably to hear my accent. Then they hand him a few $100, and he hands them a few small bags of drugs. On the way home, the guys I'm with stop, open up one of the bags and smash the contents up on a rock and snort it. I politely decline. Suddenly everyone I'm with is high on meth. Once I was familiar with the area we were in, I got the duck out of there. Recently moved to China due to work. China is fine and all, food is exceptionally nice, and the general cost of living is significantly lower. Although I do speak some Mandarin, and am somewhat familiar with China due to my mother being Chinese, I do often feel the differences, like how alien this culture here is to me. It's a very odd feeling, seeing all these people that look the same as me, yet completely different. My first holiday in foster care was Christmas 2010. I was 14 years old, a freshman in high school. I missed my family and I didn't know anyone there, except my foster parents. I felt completely like an alien amongst 50 people. I was young, scared, and alone. I went on my phone and my foster mom raised her voice and told me to get off. That made me snap, and I started tearing up. So I went outside in the cold to cry by myself, so I wouldn't make a scene. I cried behind a car in the dark and the snow that fell a few days prior. This old man comes outside and calmly talks to me. He tells me that he used to be in foster care too. I don't remember what he said exactly, but he made me laugh and feel a little better. That old man turned out to be who I would call Grandpa Ernie a few years down the road. He passed away a couple springs ago. He always made sure everyone felt welcomed and always would break tension/silence with a joke that made everyone laugh. He went through his own hell growing up and he did his best to make sure no one else had to. The ball at my college the week before graduation. People have compared it to college prom. I never wanted to go, but I won a free ticket in a raffle, so I couldn't pass up saving $90. Doesn't mean I fit in there though. I was at a low point in my life. Unemployed, no support, hungry and dressed in worn working class clothing. I was out with a buddy who had as little class as I did at the time. We somehow had managed to find a few dollars and figured we should go have a drink. Unfortunately the place we went to was full of sailors. Not burly longshoremen, not popey and not shifty-eyed cutthroats. No, these were the kind of sailors that owned and raced yachts. We go in, walk out to the patio and stop. Everyone there was white. Everyone there was dressed in white. The entire patio went quiet and literally everyone stared at us. We immediately turned tail and left. I think we ended up sharing a bottle of cheap wine under a bridge that day. Funny thing is I bet we had much more fun under that bridge than we would have had surrounded by all those clean young snarticles. After work party with my colleagues. We were just eating some snacks before heading home, but I realized I had nothing in common with any of them. I never wished so hard to have said no to something I was invited. I've always felt like I fit in two very different crowds. I'm very at home with a group of redneck friends out camping and hunting for the weekend. And I can fit in at formal business dinner type settings. One time I was invited to what I thought was the latter by my employer. I'm very middle class, but I was completely out of my element. It was a silent charity auction for disabled children. They had various donated items up for auction. You could add your name to a list with your bid, and someone else could add a higher bid under that. The cheapest thing they had to bid on was a Barbie doll. It was $375. I didn't bid on anything. Later that evening I was talking to a co-worker who was a friend of the owner. He told me he won a horse. Yeah, didn't fit in. I had just started a waitressing job, and while I was waiting to interview I actually saw a grow of the wait staff looking at me and whispering to each other. I needed the job, so I didn't care. In hindsight I should have got up and walked right out. I was hired, but failed the menu test and had to retake it. The manager told them, and they started bugging me about it. I worked there part-time for about 2 years and they would bully and harass me every chance they got. I was a good worker, polite, and helped them any way I could, but they still ostracized me. That was 4 years ago, and I still can't wrap my head around what could have made them hate me so much. I had a drinking problem in my 20s, and I thought I would try going to AA meetings. It just wasn't my thing. I didn't believe in a higher power. I didn't want to confide in strangers, and I think I just had a different take on the issue than the members and organization. At any gathering of my ex-in-laws, they drank like alcoholics, which many of them are, and I don't drink at all. The more drunk they got, the less I fit in. They had 3 topics of conversation. 1. How drunk they are. 2. How drunk they were last weekend. And 3. How drunk they plan to get next weekend. These were grown adults with kids. Going to back to school night. I'm a single dad and not wealthy. Well, not financially. My kids go to a school in a very affluent neighborhood. The dad to mom ratio was roughly 3/10. They all had very expensive clothes and jewelry. Here I'm in my shorts and a t-shirt. Most of the cars were Lexus, BMW, Mercedes, anywhere Tesla, Maserati, or some other exotic. Luckily my kids don't seem to feel it, nor are they mistreated. So that's good. Got any similar stories? Leave it in the comments below.